Welcome back. It's Afternoon Express here on S3. You know what? I believe that children are our future. Teach them well, lead them, let them lead the way. Yeah, lead them into leading the way. But I also believe that dreams are made of milk tarts, lots of them. And we love a flaky pastry filled with, a rich and creamy Clover fresh milk custard. Dusted with a bit of cinnamon sugar, and you are in food heaven. You'll think you're dreaming. Chef Chart, how do we do that?
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, it's basically two components, milk tart, and this is going really quite traditional. We got a puff pastry as its base, not the biscuit base that we're all sort of familiar with, that we pretty typically with a cheesecake.
Yeah.
So traditionally is done with a puff pastry base, and then we've got the lovely milk tart filling, which I'm going to get onto right away. So the pan on a low heat, and I'm going to season my milk first. So I'm going to put some milk into here, and then the other half of the recipe into the bowl over there.
With Clover fresh milk, you do get superior quality with every litre to help you get your family nothing but the best. And I love that they're able to achieve that thanks to its triple protect technology. It really is like having a cow in your backyard with Clover fresh milk staying up to fresh for 18 days. Can you imagine? Can you cope?
Right, so what we've got into here is I've got a cinnamon quill, or cinnamon stick, as we know there, a little of vanilla and almond essence going into there. Into my bowl here, I added my egg yolks and half the sugar.
And then into cold milk.
Into this cold milk, and I've then got some flour and corn flour. Now, why have I got the two components? Well, here I'm making my aromatics. So the heat is going to start to draw that lovely cinnamon flavour out, which is what we want. And then here, I'm basically what I want to do here is break down the flour mixture and make sure it's not lumpy and all the rest of it. So this is going to be lovely and smooth. So you need to get in here and you sort of can mix this as much as you can to really get all those lumps out of the flour. So it's absolutely smooth. Just remove your cinnamon stick, and then from there, we're then going to add it into our milk and egg mixture. Basically, we're going to temper our eggs. Keep whisking that all the time. Because
At the same time?
At the same time, absolutely. Why? Because what's happening in here is you are starting to cook your eggs. All right? So very important. Then pop that back onto the heat, and then all that mixture back into here, and you're basically going to start cooking the process, although we're going to really finish it off in the oven. So into here, we want everything to amalgamate, we want the sugar to dissolve completely, and that's what we want to bring together.
What is it about the consistency of what you've mixed together in the bowl will tell you that it's ready to go into the pot?
Well, remember, as we're going to heat this up, I've got flour, corn flour, and eggs. It's going to thicken very slightly, but I still want that pour-in consistency. So we're going to keep just bringing that on the side there, constantly whisking, because otherwise what's going to happen is going to actually start to scramble, and then you're going to have a lumpy mess. The best way then is pop into a liquidizer, in the liquidizer, and you've rescued it as well. So that's a lovely little tip on that there. You've got the puff pastry, which we've actually bought. All right?
Yes.
Okay, you want this as cold as possible, and in everything you also want to work in a hot environment and a cold environment. So this is always great in the mornings.
So take it and maybe work over that side.
Yeah, well, you want me to...
Do you want to teach me here? Okay, that's fine.
I'll teach you. If you can put butter and grated butter on this half. All right? So on that half, just grate on the big side there. And what we're going to be doing is, puff pastry in essence is dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter, dough.
In layers.
And layers. And what happens is the butter melts away and leaves a lovely flaky layer.
Ooh, delicious.
When it cooks there. So looking good. So you got a whole lot in there, so let's get all that out of there. No, it's all good.
Have a lot,
so let's give it a bit of a shake there. And let's sort of just... Spread that out there. And what's this going to do is going to make it sort of a lot more crisper and flakier and so on and so forth. So what we're then going to do is take this and fold that in half. So you can see, in essence, what we've got: dough, butter, dough, butter, dough, butter, dough.
Create an enclosing of sorts.
Enclosing. So let's just sort of get rid of this paper.
I mean, look, it looks stunning, and I see why people can be intimidated by a tart, because you've got what looks almost like jelly sitting on a really thin bed of whatever your base is, right? And so that looks like something that would be very complicated to do, but it's really not, as Chef Chart is showing us.
No. So whilst you're eating there, I'm going to show you again this sort of layer. I see you've taken the eating roll as opposed to the baking roll, but that's quite fine. I'll step in and rescue you.
We've all got a role to play. I'm playing mine.
So I'm then going to fold it over again. That's what we sort of call our book fold. And what you want to do from there is basically start rolling that out. Now, if you traditionally want to do sort of puff pastry, that you want these beautiful layers layers with and you want it to puff up beautifully, then you've got to traditionally fold it in a book fold and making sure you don't fold in the ends.
Okay.
In layman's terms, you have open ends and closed ends. If you make open ends, which is this side here, closed ends, then it's all sort of crimped and it's just not going to puff up so beautifully. So what you want to do here is just roll this out to the size that you want of your baking dish like that. Let's get rid of this board now. That's not very helping me very much at all.
I do think I've had a deeper appreciation now seeing you go through this process for a tart.
Well, absolutely. And a milk tart tradition, as I said, usually we eat sort of biscuits and melted butter mixed together, where there is quite a lot that goes on in here. So roll that out as you go.
Yeah.
See the size of your baking dish here. And always, look at this lovely enamel one here as well.
Yeah.
It's metal because that's going to help cook from the outside as well. So what you want to then do is pop that into there.
Got it
and
in
then
there.
Just work that around. Again, picking up the pastry, going into the corners. Don't stretch it, otherwise it's just going to shrink.
Yeah, you don't want that, no, please.
No, you definitely don't want that there. So that goes onto there. All right, so let's just go along with that there. And that is put into there. And what I'm going to just use with my hands, I'm going to sort of using the back of my thumb and just sort of pinch that pastry off. Just
that is very
like
good. That's a good hack of doing that.
But remember, this is, it's something so traditional. It needs to be rough and rustic. Don't try and sort of, make it all pretty and beautiful at all. So now I'm going to take my sort of mixture and I'm going to pop it back into my bowl. And then what I need to do into here is add in my egg whites. Okay. Now, again, that's going to add a lovely, fluffy sort of texture to it all as well and keep it lovely and soft.
Which is important for this recipe.
Exactly, very important. So that's all going to come together. Yeah. So you've got this lovely, light, fluffy cloud kind of pillar. And then you're going to take that and we're going to pop that mixture into here. Pop it into a baking tray. What you can do is take a little bit of egg white and just brush the surface, and that stops it from becoming soggy. Because there's nothing worse than the dreaded soggy bottom on that. Absolutely. And then you need to bake it. It's quite a high oven at 200 degrees. Okay. For about 35 to 40 minutes until you get a slight wobble, a slight jiggle.
Yeah.
Then open the oven. I always open the oven, allow it to cool in the oven. Okay. If it comes out and you put it on top and it starts cracking down the center, you're cooling it down too quickly.
It tastes like love. Thank you so much, Chef Chart.
You're welcome.
Go and make it. Afternoon Express, let's see it today.
I'll go. But one of you said,
oh, he's back.
Oh, move way.
Clover Fresh Milk.
Made with love by Clover.